These are the Hadzabe of Tanzania. They hunt with bows and arrows just like our ancestors did thousands of years ago. They eat wild honey filled with insects. Speak an insane language with clicks that no one else on Earth understands.
And what's your name, my man? And what about you?
And there are many other things that make them incredibly unique and fascinating. Starting with number 1, Hadza are the last true hunter-gatherers. The Hadza are among the last people on Earth who still live solely by hunting and gathering. They grow no crops and raise no livestock, sustaining themselves entirely on wild foods. 2. Isolated click language. The Hadza speak Hadzane, a true language isolate spoken only by the Hadza people. Linguists once grouped it with Khoisan languages of southern Africa, due to the clicks. But we now know Hadzane evolved independently. 3. Endangered tongue. With no writing system and only about 1,000 native speakers, Hadzane is critically endangered. The language is so tied to their identity that if someone speaks fluent Hadzane, it's almost certain they are Hadza. It's not spoken by any neighboring tribes. Only a handful of individuals in the world understand both Hadzane and English or Swahili, making translation extremely rare. 4. No words for numbers. The Hadza do not track time or quantity the way we do. Their language has no words for numbers above 3 or 4. Beyond that, it's just many. They also don't have words for weeks, months, or years. This means no calendars or strict schedules. Life flows with nature's rhythm rather than the clock. 5. Keeping time by nature. Instead of calendars, the Hadza use natural cues like the moon to mark time. In one instance, a Hadza elder agreed to meet a visitor in 3 weeks, then simply watched the moon's phases to know when to go. Sure enough, he arrived on time, having tracked the days by the waxes and wanes of the moon. Hours and minutes are largely meaningless in Hadza life. 6. Genetic outliers. DNA studies reveal the Hadza are genetically unique. In fact, they appear more closely related to non-Africans, Eurasians, than to other African populations. Researchers hypothesize the Hadza could be direct descendants of an early human group that gave rise to all humans who migrated out of Africa 50,000 years ago. 7. Culture of sharing. Sharing is a core value. Most items are communally owned or freely loaned. 8. Quick shelter. Their homes are simple grass huts that resemble upside-down birds' nests. A family can build a hut in a few hours using sticks and dried grass. These domed huts are just sturdy enough to sleep in and keep off rain. When the camp moves, the huts are left behind. There's no sentimentality about houses, since a new one can be built whenever needed. 9. No farming, no herding. Uniquely, the Hadza never adopted agriculture or livestock at any point in their history. They have lived as hunter-gatherers for at least 10,000 years, right into the modern age. Unlike their farming neighbors, the Hadza do not plant crops or raise animals at all. Everything they eat is wild. This makes them one of the few societies on Earth still living essentially in the Paleolithic manner. 10. Wild and varied diet. Hadza forage a stunning variety of over 200 wild foods throughout the year. Depending on the season, a Hadza meal might include baobab fruit pulp, berries from the bush, edible roots and tubers, wild honey, or meat from game animals. This diversity ensures a balance of nutrients and food security. If one food is scarce, another is available. 11. Honey hunters. Honey is the Hadza's most prized treat. Sweet wild honey and the nutritious bee larva and waxy honeycomb provides 15 to 20% of their calories on average, an amazingly high intake of wild sugar. Hadza men will risk dozens of bee stings and climb tall baobab trees to get honey. They often say honey is their favorite food, sometimes even preferred over meat. 12. Teamwork with a bird. The Hadza cooperate with a wild bird, the greater honey guide, to find beehives. Men will whistle or call out, and a small bird will respond with excited chattering and lead them through the bush directly to a hidden bee nest. This bird actively guides human hunters because it can't open hives itself. The Hadza follow the honey guide to a tree, then reward it by sharing the bounty. 13. Smoking out bees. To raid a wild beehive, Hadza men use smoke and skillful climbing. Upon locating a hive, often high in a hollow tree, a man will hammer wooden pegs into the trunk as a ladder, then carry up a burning bundle of grass. The smoke pacifies the bees, allowing him to chop open the hive with his axe. He scoops out honey, larvae, and waxcomb by hand, enduring stings from any angry bees left buzzing. 14. Honey guide's reward. After the harvest, the honey hunter pays the honey guide bird by leaving it some wax and crushed honeycomb to eat. 15. Baobab superfood. The Hadza rely heavily on the baobab tree, often called the tree of life. Its huge fruits have a dry pulp that the Hadza mix with water into a tangy drink or porridge. Baobab seeds are pounded into nutritious meal. These fruits, and other wild plants, give the Hadza an astonishing amount of dietary fiber, around 100 to 150 grams per person per day. For comparison, that's 5 to 10 times more fiber than a typical Western diet. 16. Digging for tubers. Hadza women are experts at finding wild tubers, edible roots. They roam the bush with long digging sticks, spotting subtle vine leaves that hint at a potato-like tuber below. Using only sharpened sticks, they dig up these roots, which can be eaten raw after peeling, or tossed in the ashes of a fire to roast. Tubers are often a fallback food in the dry season. Not the tastiest, some are fibrous and bland, but they reliably fill bellies when game or fruit is scarce. 17. Never a famine. The Hadza's foraging lifestyle has proven incredibly resilient. They have no recorded history of famine. Neighbors who farm have suffered crop failures and hunger in drought years, but the Hadza, with their diverse diet, nuts, berries, roots, meat, honey, can always find something to eat. In fact, there are accounts of nearby farmers seeking refuge with the Hadza during famines, joining them to forage and survive on wild foods when agriculture failed. 18. Meat is a treat. While the Hadza diet is mostly plant foods and honey, meat is still vital. It makes up a smaller portion of their diet by calories. One study says 35% on average, but it's highly prized and nutritionally important, protein and fat. When a big animal is killed, it's cause for celebration. The hunters will often roast and eat fresh ribs or liver on the spot in the bush, then carry the rest back to camp so everyone can feast that day. Even tough scraps get smoked or dried for later. 19. Move to eat. The Hadza don't wait around if food in an area runs low. They simply move camp to a new spot. Their mobility is their insurance against hunger. If berries are picked clean in one valley, or game has migrated, they'll pack up their few belongings and relocate closer to a better food source. They might even shift camp temporarily to a large kill site. E.g., if a giraffe is hunted miles away, the whole camp may move there to eat it. This constant movement prevents overharvesting any single area. 20. Flexible foraging. Hadza foraging is highly opportunistic and adaptive. Some camps at certain times rely more on tubers, others focus on berries, and others get a lot of meat, depending on what's available. There's no fixed menu. If wild fruit is abundant, they'll gorge on fruit. If an animal is killed, they'll eat meat for days. 21. Gendered division of labor. Traditionally, men hunt and gather honey, while women gather plant foods. 22. Amazing archers. Hadza hunters are renowned for their archery skills. They practice from boyhood by shooting at birds and small animals, honing keen aim. With a handmade bow, a Hadza hunter can hit a moving target at impressive distances. There are accounts of Hadza shooting down flying birds or dropping a gazelle at full sprint with a single arrow. Their livelihood depends on this skill. A missed shot can mean an empty belly, so they become expert marksmen. 23. Powerful bows and poison arrows. Hadza bows are no simple toys. They have draw weights up to 100 pounds, nearly 45 kilograms, as strong as an English longbow. The bowstrings are often made from animal tendons, sinew, like giraffe or kudu tendons, which are incredibly tough. Hunters dip arrowheads in a potent poison made from the sap of the desert rose shrub, adenium. An animal struck by a poisoned arrow will weaken quickly. Even a minor hit can become lethal. This allows the Hadza to take down large, tough animals that might otherwise escape. 24. Baboon hunters. Baboons are actually a favorite prey of the Hadza, a surprising and dangerous choice, since baboons are strong, intelligent primates with big fangs. Hadza hunters have figured out a method. They often hunt baboons at night during the new moon, when it's pitch dark. At night, baboons sleep in trees or cliffs and can't see well. Hadza men will stealthily approach and shoot the baboons out of their perches. It's risky. A wounded baboon can be aggressive, but the Hadza relish baboon meat, and successfully hunting one is a source of pride. 25. Ambush tactics. Hadza hunters employ clever tactics to ambush game. In the dry season, they may build hidden blinds near waterholes and wait through the entire night for animals coming to drink. With patience, a hunter can get a point-blank shot at an unsuspecting impala or warthog. They also sometimes do controlled burns of grass to flush out animals or drive game toward waiting archers. These strategies show a deep understanding of animal behavior and the landscape. 26. What's on the menu? They routinely hunt medium-sized antelope like impala and kudu, small dik-dik antelopes, warthogs, bush pigs, baboons and other monkeys, guinea fowl and various birds. 27. Handmade arsenal. Every arrow in a Hadza quiver is handcrafted. Men spend hours shaping arrow shafts from straight shoots of local wood. They straighten the wood by heating and bending it, sometimes using their teeth as a vise. Feathers, usually guinea fowl or francolin feathers, are split and tied on for fletching. Long ago, arrowheads were knapped from stone or made of bone, but today Hadza often use metal tips, typically old nails or scrap iron hammered into a barbed point. They obtain these metal arrowheads through trade or scavenging from discarded objects. 28. Trading for iron. The Hadza's main trading partners are the neighboring Datoga, a pastoral tribe known for blacksmithing. The Datoga take scrap iron, like nails, bits of car, etc., and forge them into arrowheads. The Hadza, in turn, trade meat or honey for these iron arrowheads. It's a barter system. A chunk of wild honeycomb or a haunch of impala might get you a handful of deadly metal arrow tips. This exchange benefits both sides. The Datoga enjoy the wild produce, and the Hadza get modern metal for more effective hunting. 29. Freedom in choosing mates. Young Hadza choose their own partners. Unlike some cultures where marriages are arranged by family, Hadza boys and girls court who they like. A girl might spend time with several young men before deciding on one, and this sometimes led to fights between jealous suitors. In such cases, elders may intervene and insist the woman herself choose whom she prefers, to resolve the conflict. This emphasizes that ultimately, the woman's choice prevails. The typical marriage age is around late teens for girls, 17, and early 20s for men, 21. 30. Gender equality. The Hadza exhibit striking gender equality for a hunting society. Women have a strong voice in decisions. For example, women often decide when the camp should move based on tuber and berry availability, since they are the gatherers. There are no male chiefs or female subordinates. Men and women hold equal social power, and either can initiate divorce or disagreements without fear. Tasks are divided by gender, mostly for practicality, not because one gender is considered inferior. Anthropologists have noted that Hadza women's opinions carry as much weight as men's in daily affairs. 31. Community childcare. It takes a village, is literally true for the Hadza. Childcare is a shared responsibility among the camp's women. Mothers, aunts, grandmothers, and older sisters all collectively care for infants and kids. At any given time, you might see a baby being nursed by its mother, and then later carried by another woman while mom gathers food. This alloparenting system means Hadza children are surrounded by caregivers and rarely lack attention. It also frees up mothers to forage, knowing other women will watch their little ones. 32. High child mortality. Life in the bush can be harsh on the young. The Hadza have a very high infant and child mortality rate. About 1 in 5 babies die in infancy, and roughly 46% of children don't reach age 15. Common causes are illnesses like diarrheal disease, malaria, or accidents, which are hard to treat without modern medicine. Hadza women also give birth to many children, on average 6, to offset these losses. Those children who survive into their teens have proven hardiness and usually live to adulthood. 33. Surprising longevity. If a Hadza person survives to adulthood, they often live quite long. While average life expectancy at birth is low, due to high child mortality, Hadza adults frequently live into their 60s and sometimes 70s or 80s. Elderly Hadza remain active. A 70-year-old might still be gathering berries or digging tubers. Remarkably, they suffer far fewer diseases of civilization, such as heart disease, diabetes, or cancer, than people in industrialized societies. Their active lifestyle and natural diet seem to protect them, allowing many to reach old age in relatively good health. 34. Gut of steel. Studies show that Hadza have one of the world's most diverse gut microbiomes. A 2013 analysis found the Hadza harbor much richer and more varied bacteria in their digestive system than urban Europeans. This is likely due to their high-fiber diet and exposure to soil, plants, and wild foods. In fact, certain beneficial gut bacteria, lost in most Westerners, are present in the Hadza. Intriguingly, their microbiome composition even changes with the seasons, as their diet shifts from more meat in the dry season to more berries and honey in the wet season. Scientists believe this robust microbiome could be a key to their metabolic health. 35. No formal religion. The Hadza are often described as having little to no formal religion. They have no churches, no shamans, no organized worship. They do not have a practice of praying daily or following a holy book. In fact, many Hadza express no belief in an afterlife at all. When asked what happens after death, they shrug, having no strong concept of souls living on. This doesn't mean they lack spirituality, but it's very different from most religions. It's unstructured and personal. 36. Sun and moon connection. Hadza spirituality, such as it is, centers on the natural world. They sometimes address prayers to Ishoko, the sun, or Haine, the moon, especially before a difficult hunt or when someone is ill. For example, a hunter might say a quick prayer to the sun for success. They also say that when they die, their spirit goes to Ishoko, the sun, perhaps meaning they become part of the sunlight or sky. These beliefs are fluid and not part of a strict doctrine, just individual expressions of awe toward nature. 37. Mythical origins. Though they have no formal religion, the Hadza have a rich tapestry of folklore and creation myths. In one popular Hadza legend, humans originally descended to Earth on the neck of a great giraffe. In another story, people climbed down from a huge baobab tree in the beginning of time. These tales underline the importance of animals, like giraffes, and trees, like the baobab, in their world. Such myths are told around campfires to explain the world in a way that is magical and deeply connected to nature. 38. Why they never farmed. A myth. One Hadza myth humorously explains why they remain hunter-gatherers. It's said that the god of the sun, Haine, called all tribes to choose their way of life: farmers, herders, or hunters. He offered cattle to one, crops to another, and hunting gear to the Hadza. But first, each tribe had to perform a task. Those who chose cattle or farming had to lick a cow's anus or drink a mixture of cattle blood and milk. Accounts vary. A humiliating test. The Hadza flat out refused to do this. They walked away and kept their bows and honey instead. Thus, they never became herders or farmers because they wouldn't accept Haine's condition, sticking proudly to hunting and gathering. 39. Elite hunters. In Hadza society, true manhood is often defined by hunting skill. A young man becomes recognized as an epeme man only after he has killed a large game animal on his own. Epeme, pronounced epeme, is a special status. These men are the only ones allowed to eat certain sacred parts of the animal. For example, the heart, kidneys, lungs, and genitals of big game are considered epeme meat, reserved for those who have proven themselves in the hunt. If a man hasn't managed to kill a large animal by his mid-30s, he is eventually considered epeme by default, so he's not excluded. But the cultural ideal is to earn it in youth through a successful hunt. 40. Secret moonless night dance. Along with the epeme status comes a secret ritual. On the darkest nights, when the moon is new and not visible, the Hadza hold an epeme dance. Uniquely, they perform it in near total darkness. Even the campfires are put out. Only Apemi men, initiated hunters, participate directly, while others quietly watch. The men take turns wearing a special feathered headdress and a cape, and dance in a line, stomping rhythmically with bells jingling on their legs. The women sing to accompany the dance, but they remain at the periphery. This nocturnal dance is filled with clapping and low chanting. The Hadza say that during Apemi dances, their ancestral spirits emerge from the dark bush to join in and bless the community. It's a spine-tingling, unifying event that builds social bonds and trust among those who share it. 41. Girls' initiation. Hadza girls have a coming-of-age celebration too, called Maitoko. When a girl reaches puberty, the women of the camp adorn her with jewelry and often anoint her skin with animal fat. Then, in a playful ritual, the young woman chases the boys of the camp while holding a symbolic fertility stick. Amid laughter, the boys pretend to flee, and if she tags a boy with the stick, it's seen as good luck. This lighthearted chase symbolizes the girl's transition to womanhood, and perhaps her impending role as a future mother. It's one of the few gender-specific ceremonies, and is done with much teasing and merriment. 42. Firelight stories. Storytelling is the main entertainment in Hadza camps. Every evening after dinner, they gather around the campfire, and elders and youngsters alike tell stories. These range from mythical tales of gods and giants to hilarious anecdotes of something that happened during the day. The Hadza are noted to be fantastic storytellers who can captivate an audience with gestures and mimicry. Since there is no TV, radio, or books, the fire circle stories are how knowledge, humor, and culture are passed on. Many stories have moral lessons or practical tips hidden in them. Example, how a certain bird got its colors might teach which berries are safe to eat. 43. No warriors, no war. The Hadza are not a warlike people. Unlike some neighboring tribes, they have no warrior class, no history of intertribal warfare, and no tradition of raiding or conquest. They do not engage in warfare at all. Conflicts with neighbors have been extremely rare. Generally, the Hadza avoided fights by moving away or by maintaining good relations, often trading meat and honey for peace. This peaceful nature is partly because their lifestyle doesn't support large groups fighting. They live in small bands and have no accumulation of wealth to fight over. It's often said that the Hadza have traditionally had nothing that others want to steal, and so they've lived in peace. 44. Living light on the land. The Hadza have an incredibly light ecological footprint. They take what they need and leave the rest, allowing nature to replenish. Environmental researchers note that their lifestyle has sustained itself for millennia without degrading the land. For example, they don't cut down forests. They might prune a tree limb to get honey but never fell the whole tree. They don't overhunt a species. If animals get scarce, they naturally hunt elsewhere for a while. In this way, the Hadza live in balance with the ecosystem. Their continued existence in a challenging semi-arid environment is a testament to this sustainable living. 45. Bush GPS. Hadza people are like walking GPS units in their territory. They possess an astonishing mental map of the land. There are no maps or written guides, yet any adult knows every hill, gully, waterhole, and big tree in their range. They can navigate the thick bush at night without a flashlight, guided by memory and starlight. Researchers marveled as Hadza guides led them unerringly to water or back to camp in complete darkness through featureless thorn scrub. One Hadza man compared knowing the bush to knowing his own bedroom, except his bedroom is a 1,000 square mile wilderness, and his familiarity with it is absolute. 46. Master fire makers. Fire is life for the Hadza, and they make it by hand. Using a traditional fire drill, a hardwood stick spun quickly in a softer wood base, a Hadza man can get a flame in under 30 seconds. It's a skill taught from youth. They'll ignite dried grass or dung to start a campfire for cooking and warmth. At night, fires are kept smoldering to deter wild animals. Lions, leopards, and hyenas tend to avoid the flicker of flames. In the morning, a fire can be rekindled from last night's coals. The Hadza carry fire with them by transferring an ember to a bundle of dry bark or grass when they move camp. Their intimate knowledge of fire making means they are never without warmth or the ability to cook, even with no modern tools. 47. Resisting civilization. Over the past 100 years, missionaries and governments have repeatedly tried to settle the Hadza, or convert them to farming, but every attempt failed. For example, in the 1960s, the Tanzanian government built concrete houses for the Hadza and gave them corn to farm. The Hadza promptly left the houses, let the corn be eaten by baboons, and went back to hunting and gathering. Missionaries tried to impose new religions and routines, but the Hadza saw no benefit in abandoning their freedom. They often remark that outsiders are the ones who seem unhappy or lost, rushing around and drowning in stress. The Hadza prefer their own way, which they view as rich and fulfilling in its connection to nature. 48. Land rights victory. In 2011, the Hadza scored a groundbreaking win. They received legal title to 57,000 acres of their ancestral land in the Yaita Valley. This was the first time a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania was granted official land rights. With the help of conservation groups, the Hadza established this area where they can live and hunt with recognition under law. It sets a precedent that their traditional use of the land is valid and worth protecting. This has helped reduce encroachment by farms and cattle in that core territory. 49. Encroachment challenges. Despite protections, the Hadza's land is still under pressure. To the south, Sukuma farmers have been clearing woodland for fields, and from the north, Datoga herders drive cattle onto Hadza foraging grounds. Over the decades, the Hadza have lost an estimated 90% of their traditional lands to outsiders. This shrinkage of wilderness threatens their way of life. If too much land is taken, the animals and plants they rely on will vanish. Conservation efforts are now tied to Hadza's survival. Protecting their land also protects a unique culture and a rich ecosystem. 50. Cultural resilience and a window to the past. Only a few hundred Hadza still live full-time as nomadic foragers, but they are determined to continue. Those who maintain the traditional lifestyle are passing their knowledge to their children, teaching them to shoot birds with tiny bows, to dig up tubers, to recognize animal tracks. Their culture, while fragile, has proven resilient. It survived colonialism and the modern age so far. In the Hadza's view, they have everything they need: food, family, freedom. The Hadza offer an invaluable glimpse into how all humans once lived. For over 99% of human history, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers just like the Hadza. Agriculture in cities are a very recent development, only 10,000 years old. Observing the Hadza today, sharing food, roaming the wild, telling stories by firelight, is like looking back in time at the living conditions and social dynamics that shaped our species. They remind us that humans can live successfully in nature without modern trappings. In a rapidly changing world, the Hadza's enduring way of life is both a cultural treasure and a living link to our Paleolithic past. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more content about the Hadza people and other tribes too. Leave a comment on what tribe should we make a video next.